All right, guys, welcome back to The Blend. If you guys know the Indianapolis coffee community, you guys know where we are. This is one of the most gorgeous and popular coffee shops here in Indy. It's one of my favorites, live about half a mile away down from here. And so today we're going to be shooting on both Portra 800 on 35 and then also on 120. Shout out to Roberts for giving me this role. Pick up your film at Use Photo Pro. I actually just got this one this morning, so they're super friendly, super accessible.
We always kind of had the dream of opening up some sort of a cafe. We wanted to do something that was a multi-concept, right? Like, you see the signs on the doors. It really truly is coffee, cocktails, and events. We just wanted to create a space that, instantly when you walked in, you kind of had a sense of community. The fact that we've got more independently owned coffee shops in this town than we even do like large Starbucks is amazing. I don't see that stopping anytime soon, and there's certainly enough room for all of us. One big thing when we opened this space was like, and we talked about this a little bit, how do you make a really large space feel smaller, right? And feel a little bit more intimate. And that was kind of the challenge, right? I mean, this had like these big, huge curtains that were up, these big nets that were up when we first got it, because it was an old ping pong bar. We kind of just went square foot by square foot here and figured out where we could pepper in these living rooms and kind of draw them together with rugs, create some more kind of closure from the ceilings with tons of obviously natural plants. We didn't want to fill it with a bunch of generic stuff. We wanted to pepper in things that were important to us. You'll find old encyclopedias that are peppered through here from my childhood that were my father's. I mean, every corner of this space, we wanted to really fill it and make it feel like you were in someone's house or in someone's room. And I just feel like you can't really fake authenticity in that way, and I think we just took our time. We took a lot of months doing each room and making it kind of feel like a cozy little area.
Overexposed, obviously, with the natural light seeping in, and all the greens and the warm tones is really gonna pop. I'm gonna get the menu too while we're here, and obviously we're going to be shooting through, so having something in the foreground is always so important. So I love this shot predominantly just because this is the first thing that you see when you come in here, and just super nice colors right now. Composition right now, we gotta be quick because the drink is gonna set. So good. So good.
Prince auto break.
Oh my gosh. Much needed. A lot of my work, you will find things being symmetrical just because that's a passion of mine. That's what I think that looks good, and kind of want to curate that in my style a little bit more. All right, so we are on the loft area of Parlor, and just want to get a different vantage point. We have the leading lines going right here, and almost like kind of a V formation. Curious to see how Portra 400 handles this, because we got really deep, rich warms, and then we have a lot of natural light pouring in half of the frame, but we're really just going to split it 50-50. So we're gonna nail focus, hopefully, famous last words, with the sun coming out. Oh my gosh, God is good, and in 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, what an end. Down to the wire. Whew. All So obviously I haven't seen all of the shots at all, but I think it went really well. Obviously it is a gorgeous shop. Tried to get some angles that, you know, I haven't seen from the shop a whole lot. So, you know, whether that's getting a living room, like a corner, or like a reading nook, or just like finding leading lines or like a unique, compelling composition. That's what I want to tell throughout this whole entire series. And obviously shooting with a 35 and a 120 is like, it really is like up to my creative like freedom, which is really cool, and finding which one is going to go well on both formats, because I do treat them differently. Still, you know, getting used to, you know, shooting medium format, still getting used to everything, but really enjoying the whole entire process with it, and happy to, you know, bring you guys along. All right, everyone, we just got our film back from Parlor Public House, and a little bit of bad news. The roll of 120 is practically unusable. Something went wrong when I either loaded it or unloaded the film, and all 10 shots had light leaks in it where it was pretty severe and pretty unusable. When looking at the roll itself, like, so it's in reverse order, where the last shot actually like was still usable in my opinion.
Yeah, so when we were looking at that role in particular, that's why like I eventually had to ask you specifically, like, are these shots in reverse? And when you confirm that, that's why like I know we still never had a chance to, but I wanted to like, specifically watch you load the camera. Two things going on there, that like maybe we were doing it in like a little bit too bright of sunlight, and that maybe instead of like keeping proper tension on the leader while you were like loading the film, that maybe you were pulling a little too much paper backing and causing the fat roll like to happen at the edges. It was almost more like a flaring, so it's like it wasn't like, you know, you completely botched the roll. At some point in the loading process, or like taking the film out to load it, it just looked like something like maybe one edge of the paper backing had gotten loose and caused some like flaring leaks. And it's like, it's very consistent with a fat roll, but you did it like in the beginning. The one roll that you posted on Instagram, your story, where like you accidentally, you know, lost the whole roll. Was that the first time though that like you got to see actually how like 120 film is loaded into the backing paper?
Yes.
So that's huge. Like just kind of understanding like how the backing paper works and like what ends are taped and how it's attached to the spool. It's like sometimes you have to sacrifice a roll to like get a better idea of like, oh, okay, like when I'm screwing it up, it's like now you know how it's all rolled together, so it's easier to identify at what point in the process did I go wrong.
Not many people talk about like their first fail in film, and I remember my second roll of 35, I didn't put the film through the spool properly, and so the film wasn't even, you know, advancing at all. But if you remember, my first two rolls of 120, I didn't even know that you had to seal it afterwards. And
that was the craziest thing too, because like those were the rolls that I warned you about the most. I was like, oh my god, like you've had these sitting just loose like this. It's like, hey man, we're gonna develop it, but just be warned that these are probably toasted.
yes.
And those rolls had 0 fat leaks.
0.
So, I mean, I couldn't explain it. I still can't explain it. Like, you just got super lucky on that. You could do it right 100 times in a row, and then, you know, the next 10 times in a row, it's like, something might screw up, and it's like, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. There's just nothing. You get as good as you want, you're still gonna screw it up. I've done it for years.
Yeah, it's almost just like, when is it going to happen, and what gig or, you know, what national park is it going to hit?
Yep, and like it's always like the big fish sort of story. It's like, I promise you the photos were good, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm not sure they were, man.
Yeah. So in summary, do we just go back to digital, or do we just kind of chalk it up to a love-hate relationship?
I think it's got to be a love-hate relationship because I have, the life perk of working at a store in which I have access to all gear at any time. And no matter how much gear shuffling I do and sell this camera, buy this camera, it's like I always circle back around to primarily shooting film.
Yeah.
It's like you're just a victim of your own twisted sickness.
Twisted sickness, that's one way of putting it. That's incredible. With that being said, the 35 millimeter shots I was really, really happy with. I'm gonna scroll through a couple of them as per usual. I think some of my favorite shots were obviously of the bar area, just because it's so colorful, so vibrant. It almost makes me wonder if we shot this on CineStill 400D on a nice sunny day when there's a lot of natural light seeping into the store. And just really curious to see how the CineStill colors would render at this. And something that I've been doing and that I've been mentioning throughout the series is just having a center focused image. That's something that's just visually appealing to me. That's something that I want to integrate more into my style. And so a lot of these images are center focused. So and then we went up to the second story loft area, and this is where I really played around with some compositions and was really practicing metering for the right subject. And so for this shot, light metered for the brown couch. And if you really need to, make sure to bring back the highlights back in. But I really like this shot and really just kept it as is because I really like the dreamy effect. Similar to the commissary episode. One image that I really want to point out is the drink at the coffee table. It's not the most glamorous shot, or it's not the most in-your-face shot, but I love the subtlety of it. I do remember we were right up against the window, and there must have been a cloud because there wasn't any natural light seeping in, and just having the intuition of waiting for the sun to come back just so you have a little bit more natural light. And I really like the shot. It's not exactly the most glamorous out of the 36 exposures, but just waiting for that sunlight to really creep in and just take the shot when it counts is the whole entire point of film. One thing that I really loved about Seth's interview is that he mentioned the living room spaces being personal to him and his wife. I think that's such a unique part of Parlor Public House that not too many people know about. And when you're sitting in these living room spaces, it really does feel like someone's home because they are personal to them. These vintage encyclopedias or these vintage figurines, like they're not just generic Target or Goodwill finds. They're personal to them, and it really just has a connection. Next time that you go into Parlor Public House, just kind of look around, and it's just really a unique factoid. And so the next one will be at Calvin Fletcher Coffee Company, another staple here in Indianapolis. Can't wait to share more with you guys, and I'll see you guys there.